Welcome back to Seamless Xtra as we continue to explore the latest trends and innovations in the world of digital commerce.
Thank you for joining us today for the December edition of Seamless Xtra. Thank you for joining us today, Vinod. Jumia has been a key player in transforming e-commerce landscape in East Africa, and we're excited to dive into the key trends shaping the industry and how Jumia is navigating the region's digital marketplace. Over to you. If you could maybe tell me a little bit about your role at Jumia Group and how this is impacting the East Africa market.
Yeah, thank you, Ellise, for inviting. Happy to speak. My name is Vinod Goel. I'm CEO for Jumia East Africa. As you mentioned, it covers two main markets called Kenya and Uganda. How e-commerce is impacting and how we are navigating, I think I'm sure you have many more questions. We're going to cover all that. But as a start, digital marketplaces, they remove a lot of obstacles which are inherently present in the conventional retail supply chain. So being able to bring a huge assortment of goods at the right price with the right quality assurance to every house in the whole country, I think the value proposition is so huge that it starts to impact even the markets where the e-commerce penetration is small. It starts to impact numerous lives, and super happy to be part of that journey.
Fantastic. So onto the digital marketplace. Jumia has been a leader in e-commerce space across East Africa. How has the digital marketplace evolved in this region, and what do you see as the biggest opportunities for growth in the next few years?
Okay, so how is that it has evolved? I would say we started our journey a decade back. And of course, the same teething issues of people trusting of, clicking things online and making payments. I think they have come far away from there. And today, Jumia is a household name. It is very difficult for you to find somebody in Kenya and Uganda who does not know the company. Now, all of them trust it? Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of people trust it, but a lot of people still want to see the item first before they want to pay. So I think we still have that hurdle. So there is an evolution in almost every aspect. So there is an evolution of smartphone penetration. There is an evolution of internet penetration. There's an evolution of how many people prepay versus post-pay, right? The cash on delivery. So good thing is that all the evolution is happening in the right direction. So there are more and more people who are shopping online. They are shopping more and more often. They're shopping more and more things, and they are able to pay in advance. And they understand how the company work, and they understand what value it brings. So I think the evolution is great, and all of it is in the right direction.
Fantastic. Unified commerce, big hot topic. In East Africa, mobile commerce is growing fast. How does Jumia integrate its online and offline services to provide a seamless customer experience across all platforms?
Yeah, I think very, very relevant question for our markets. So again, if we look at the macros of internet smartphone penetration, roughly around half of the population is still off grid in both the countries. Okay, Kenya is a little bit ahead, Uganda is a little bit catching up, but roughly we can say half of the population still does not use internet. Now you cannot not include them, so we need to look for an inclusive strategy. So I think the biggest, we do many things around it, but I think the biggest thing which we are super proud of is with something called J-Force. So J-Force is an agent commission model where thousands of people in both the countries, they approach the people who either do not have smartphone or the internet or the digital literacy. So when population is missing any of these, they will not be able to place orders online. So these people reach out to them in various ways. Offline, they can actually stop you in the street, or they will come into your office or school and present, hey, look, here is Jumia, and you can order anything, and I'll let you order. I'll help you for ordering those items. So they reach out to you. They will reach out to you on social media. They will reach out to you in WhatsApp groups. So all kinds of channels. But ultimately, what they are able to do is they are able to reach those 50% population who are disconnected and still able to place their orders online. So they are like their agent too. And in that process, they earn some small commission, which is good for them as a gig economy. It's generating a serious gig economy. And in that process, Jumia is also able to include those people who are not able to place orders online themselves. So I've said that has been a game changer. That is the biggest driver we could bring. The second one is, like in many countries, I've seen that e-commerce is that you can place orders only online using the app or the web, but we have a huge call center running, which is taking the queries of the people, because a lot of our first-time people have queries. Will this thing really arrive? I have paid. Shall I be worried? So from the basic questions to a lot of people asking us to, okay, do you have this deal? Do you have this item? I'm looking for that. So we need to run a very active call center, which brings around 18% of our sales. So I think that is another second thing which we do. And of course, a huge network of our pickup stations in Kenya, around 300, in Uganda, around 120 pickup stations. So these pickup stations also, maybe not in the capital cities, but in the smaller towns, they are like a flagship showroom. They are visible, they are in the main streets. So people know, okay, Jumia is here and I'll place the order, they will come here. So it is becoming a known physical addresses in each of those hundreds of cities. And I think this is another angle. So yeah, we do things like that to bring all the offline activities and to include
Amazing.
everyone part of the journey.
Great, fantastic. I think at some point later down the line, we'll maybe be having discussion more about e-commerce and supply chains and logistics. But however, I would like to carry on with the topics on social commerce. Social media usage in Kenya is high, with platforms like Instagram and Facebook becoming critical to the retail experience. How is Jumia leveraging social commerce, and what role do platforms like this play in driving sales?
Yeah. So as you rightly said, social commerce is becoming a mainstream commerce. How does Jumia leverage that? In two ways, I would say. The first is a traditional marketing channel. So social media, all the platforms, all our deals, all our campaigns. Social media is one big pillar. So everything has to go there. People have to know what is coming or what is running out, what kind of deals, what kind of prices. Everything is there. The second thing is we are also leveraging a huge number of micro, medium, and big influencers who using the normal tactics of able to reach much larger population than we can directly, and they're able to bring those customers, those users, to convert them into sales. What we have not done yet maybe is be able to transact. So can people buy directly on TikTok Jumia items? I think this is something has started to happen in some parts of the world. I think we are exploring it, and that will be another step change of using social commerce.
It's quite exciting. What innovations in unified commerce have you seen in the region? How has Jumia adapted to meet these needs?
I think some of the very interesting and unique innovations happened in our areas are related to payments. So as we know, probably, can I put a number, but a very small fraction of people use bank cards. And on the other hand, on e-commerce, all the payments have to happen digitally. I mean, most of them have to happen digitally. We are avoiding to bring cash in the equation because it's inefficient and and slow. So I think the biggest thing we have seen, like for example, in Kenya, we have M-Pesa, which has a more than 90% penetration rate. And because of that, 98.5% of our payments are done through M-Pesa, digitally done, maybe 5-6% on banks, and around 95% on M-Pesa, and which is a huge benefit, huge innovation, right? In Uganda, it is a little bit smaller. I think it's in 70s. We have two players there, MTN and Airtel Mobile Money. So we're also pushing for that. I think that innovation is really, really fantastic, helps us. and is a little bit unique. I mean, even in Africa
I was
and
going
other
to say.
countries, we don't have mobile money penetration up to that level. So that supports us a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely unique to Kenya, the digital wallets and M-Pesa. So it's a fantastic topic.
Absolutely.
So another hot topic, which is data and AI. Data and artificial intelligence are transforming industries worldwide. How is Jumia using AI to enhance its operations, from customer experience to predictive analytics in retail?
Yeah, I think you already mentioned the two big fields, which are the customer experience and the planning and the analytical part. I think apart from that, we are also using AI in designing, a lot of designing, in a lot of content production. So for every single item to have the photos and their description. I think what we have done structurally, first, we don't want to do AI just for the sake of it, because it is not free, it's time consuming, and there are concerns regarding around security. However, we have a central team which works on okay, out of 400 things we do, how we can identify 40 things where AI is really impactful. And I think that's a roadmap we have done centrally. And now each country is trying to use those work streams where we have identified. And exactly most of those work streams are related to marketing, designing, content, then the customer experience, but also a little bit in the supply chain where we are able to identify that from our pickup station, which is 500 kilometers away, what is the possibility of our customers not coming and picking up the item on time. So I think some areas we are exploring and experimenting, some areas are already matured enough, and AI is fantastic. I think it's really giving us productivity boost.
Can you share any specific ways that Jumia is using data to optimize services for both consumers and merchants?
I think the biggest way of using data is to identifying the customer needs and matching them with the supply, I would say. So again, in our context, supply is a big challenge, unlike other markets where it is actually opposite. If you want a pair of shoes, you will have 50 brands or maybe 500, and the stock is available in the country, right? In our case, it is a little bit opposite. The manufacturing base is very small. There is a huge dependency on the imports, and hence supply is the issue. So now, given that supply, and also we have the challenge of the price point, right? So you can't really go wrong on your price point. So you can easily get an expensive shoe, which probably the market is not looking, and only 10% people are looking at it. So I think we use a lot of predictive AI to find out and keep fine-tuning is that which items are making more sense, and hence we focus only on the supply of those items instead of trying to get whatever is possible. Yeah.
Okay, great. So on cross-border commerce is becoming increasingly important in East Africa. How does Jumia facilitate trade between countries within the East African community, EAC?
Yeah. So I think within the countries, to be honest, not all the countries within Africa have a very strong trade relations and pathways. Even though the governments and policymakers are trying to make it happen, I think in East Africa, we are slightly ahead of it. And there are policies which foster the movement of physical goods between the countries. And I think we use it, we also leverage it. So we, again, going back to the supply issue challenge. So if we find something in Kenya, which is not available in Uganda, I think it's a win-win for the manufacturer or the importer of those goods to be able to expand their market. And Jumia immediately is able to help that. The good thing is that all our front end and the back end systems are absolutely on the same technology. And hence, for anybody to onboard into different markets, it is super easy. And sometimes we also have international sellers from Turkey, Egypt, China, India. Those sellers also can be onboarded into multiple markets by one login, by single onboarding and single login, which again, fosters cross-border markets.
Great, thank you. And with the integration of digital payment solutions, what has been the biggest impact on cross-border commerce in East Africa?
I think same thing. So we have been lucky to have some new fintech startups, but also the established players who are able to help us, making the international payments at the right speed, with the right cost attached to it, and with the right consistency. Because we, again, in our markets, we have a huge issue on the forex. In different markets, the forex moves up and down very fast. So I think you need to work with a player who can help you in managing that. So that works pretty okay. We definitely have that challenge of currency pressure in our markets, which keeps us on toes. But otherwise, we use digital players who are able to help us bring the goods and be able to pay international.
Great, thank you. Briefly, we touched on supply chain and logistics. I'd like to expand further with that. The supply chain and logistics landscape plays a vital role in the success of e-commerce. How does Jumia ensure the timely delivery of goods, especially in regions where infrastructure can be challenging, like rural areas, for example, the underserved population? What areas? How do you cover that?
Yeah. So I think it's even though it is a challenge, it is also Jumia's strength of taking the advantage of the not so developed supply chain. So because it is challenging for everyone. However, Jumia's biggest strength is that our whole e-commerce model and supply chain is actually designed and built for Africa. And there is a lot of contextual elements went there, and hence that is why all our technology is in-house, and the processes and which are built for serving the local needs. Now, because of that, we actually have an advantage that we are able to reach around 70% of the country, first of all. Secondly, we are able to reach, let's say, Kenya. The whole country is reachable within 4 days, and 75% of our demand we are able to reach in 2 to 3 days. And in Nairobi, for example, in Kenya, all the deliveries are next day, and similar trends in Uganda. So I think once you figure out the supply chain, it actually becomes your advantage because nobody else is trying to solve it at that scale. I think that's one. Number two, I think we are continuously working on reducing the cost and the speed and increasing the speed. So it's a balance, You can go in a bigger truck, but only 3 times a week. So you can be cheaper, but slower. Or you can go every day on a smaller truck and you can be faster, but a little bit more expensive. I think it's a process we continuously optimize. The good thing is that because of the high growth, we are able to reach more and more markets more and more frequently. And that way we are able to decide, should we go cheaper or faster? And hence we are able to work on both the elements, and continuously our shipping fees and our delivery SLAs are improving.
That's great. And how do you manage the customer journey from order placement to delivery? And what are some of the challenges that you are facing in this process?
Okay. So I think the user journey is quite simple. So we have 2 kinds of traffic. One is coming from the call center or the J-Force model, which is, let's say, the offline people who are not on the grid, and then the remaining 50% who are ordering themselves. Both of them, their orders will come online. Now, one of the challenge we face is related to the payments, like lot of time, because the credit card utilization is very limited. And when people are placing the orders, they might not have enough funds, for example. So we get a lot of invalid orders because of that. Sometimes those transactions are not going through. So those orders become invalid. So I think that's a bit of a challenge. We have a slightly higher ratio of invalid orders at the beginning of the funnel than if we compare it to the other markets. But apart from that, I think the user journey is pretty seamless. You are able to place your orders, you go to the checkout, you are able to pay, or like 70% of our customers do, select cash on delivery. When the items are delivered to them, they are able to pay. We also have the same same benefits of able to return the items within 7 to 14 days, depending on the categories. And then there are either automatic refunds to our usual or let's say qualified customers, or the refunds happen in within 1 or 2 days or 3 days to other customers. So I think the journey is actually very typical of any e-commerce marketplace across the world. So there is nothing, and we are quite proud of it, that to be able to achieve the same quality of journey in the market where we have lots of challenges, I think that's a great achievement.
Definitely. With the increasing demand for faster deliveries, what technological advancements is Jumia exploring to enhance logistics and improve customer satisfaction?
Yeah, I think we are like any other e-commerce company, we are continuously looking to improve our technology. So we are working on both on the back end, where we are able to automating everything for our 3PL partners, for our transporters, for them to able to see the orders beforehand, be able to plan that the capacities of the people and the vehicles, being able to have a proper route planning. Then there is an additional step we call it a run sheet, where we actually call the next 4 customers where we're gonna go, because sometimes the customers would place an order from the office while they are expecting it at home. So you rather verify it. So I think all those steps happen in the using the technology. And in terms of challenge, it is simply that there are not many third-party transporters who are used to of using so many mobile applications for doing the supply chain. You know, it's like, guys, this is too complex. Why so many things to be done? I can simply take your package and deliver, and I'll let you know. You know, the conventional supply chain. I think we don't have many players, and the good thing is that a lot of them actually spin out from Jumia. They are the ex-Jumia employees or the people who are working with Jumia in supply chain. These are the ones who started these companies. And now it is an ecosystem of people who understand and use technology and bring advancement into it. And hence, it works pretty well.
Thank you. That's great. Final thoughts. What is the next big step for Jumia Group in East Africa? Are there any exciting innovations or partnerships on the horizon that we should look out for this year?
I think what is the next big thing? I would say,
I mean, from now till, let's say, 5 to 10 years.
5 to 10 years, yeah. I think the first immediate big thing we are trying to do, we finally, it is very obvious now, is that upcountry, the value addition of e-commerce is way higher than in the capital cities, which is kind of counterintuitive, because normally you say, okay, e-commerce works in the urban centers with a lot of people with a lot of money, simply because we were actually trying to address the desires and the wishes, while what we have done is to fulfill the basic needs. And the basic needs were not fulfilled outside the capital cities. And I think once we have cracked that recipe, our big focus for the next 2-3 years is to really serve the underserved market for thousands of years. And it is going to open a lot of growth channels for us. Of course, we are continuously improving the markets. We are bringing lots of new brands across the categories, so that people are able to find whatever they are looking, irrespective of their economic strata. And doing the cross borders, expanding the cross borders, being able to let people sell outside or be able to purchase things from the outside. I think these are the few things we are trying to work on.
Thank you very much. And thank you for joining us today for the December edition of Seamless Extra. And looking forward to hearing your insights at Seamless East Africa from the 2nd to the 3rd of July in Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you.
It is very much, and thank you for all the listeners and the viewers.